Quarantined Experiment 37. Dr. Harris Fimzar, formerly the 19th Senior Researcher, Washington, a long-time member of the agency whose intelligence has brought many benefits to the agency. That is while he was under the agency's umbrella. Unfortunately, the former Washington grew dissatisfied with the restrictions placed on the agency researchers. He believed that with his genius, he could usher in the next evolution of humanity to uplift humans over the many creatures that prey over them. Dr. Fimzar believed that by using the traits of anomalous creatures through both surgery and DNA grafting, people could become more. But the agency has strict rules about this branch of experimentation. It would require a unanimous decision of the council themselves to approve such a thing, something that due to prior incidents in the history of the agency will not happen, as well as the fact that such a thing will bring the agency too close to being like the company. Lines that must never be crossed. But Fimzar, like most geniuses, wouldn't accept this, that he could be wrong about his theory. His frustration eventually caused him to break the taboos and start experimenting in secret, using himself as the principal subject to do such experiments on. If he had failed or killed himself like many misguided researchers have done in the past, that would probably have been the end of it. But Harris Fimzar is a genius of such level, he had very few peers that could match him. So he had some measure of success, enough so that he went to the heads of his base to present his findings, revealing to their higher-ups that he broke the very firm rules the agency has about self-experimentation. The resulting argument led to Dr. Fimzar having an order of arrest signed against him. Fimzar didn't take it well. Countless damage done by the formerly frail 62-year-old man who had enhanced himself to monstrous strength and speed allowed him to escape the base and go rogue, swearing in the process that he'll show everyone, especially the agency, how wrong we were to shoot down his ideas. Thus, Fimzar vanished that day and re-emerged sometime later, vastly more mutated as the Doctor. The Doctor is highly dangerous. A genius-level intellect with in-depth knowledge of agency protocol, tactics, and no longer any restraint about his experiment. At first, the Doctor was flagged as to be captured and brought in, but as more and more of his experiments were discovered, his file was quickly flagged as kill on sight, especially after experiment 29 was discovered. The discovery of such an experiment resulted in towns needing to be burned to the foundation and locked in, that the Doctor wasn't misunderstood or confused, that he was a dangerous enemy, more so that he keeps improving and escalating with his experiments. Such is the discovery of Experiment 37, aka the Euphoria machine. The Doctor somehow learned to create mimetic hazards, a class of danger where just looking at the image of it can affect the viewer. Experiment 37 was discovered in Maryland, found in a warehouse surrounded by a large number of nearly dead people, all of whom were on the verge of starvation. The creature itself was resting in the center of the group. It had used a pile of discarded clothes to make a nest. The creature itself looked like a massive rainbow slug with many limbs that rooted themselves through the concrete floor. Sticking out all over were protruding antennas, and every now and then the color of its body would shift colors and ripple. Seeing the creature, the agents felt a strong dizziness hit them and felt the inescapable desire to get closer to the unusual thing. They need to get closer and do something. Those agents saved themselves when one of the agents, having been further away and had more willpower, dragged their partner bodily out of the warehouse. The feeling faded away as they made their distance and left the two with a nasty headache. They left the mobile drones behind in order to monitor the creature. As the agents watched from a distance on camera, they saw one of the feeble people crawl their way to the creature's open mouth. To their horror, they saw the person place themselves inside, and with a quick gulp, the creature swallowed them whole. More worrying is watching the creature on video made them want to go back inside to experience more. It was then the agents closed the feed and called for backup, noticing that when they turned off the video feed monitoring the creature, their desire to go inside faded away. It took some tricky maneuvering, including a collection team in hazmat suits going in blindfold, with a rotating crew of people using the video feeds to guide them via voice instruction, but they were able to drag all the people still alive out of the warehouse. What took even longer was extracting the Euphoria machine. When described as being rooted, that wasn't an understatement. It had somehow melded with the foundation of the building and had tentacles spread all throughout the flooring, but the creature was barely reactive and didn't or couldn't defend itself when the capture squad cut it free. The blood it had glowed up a bright purple, and the stains left behind were so luminescent long after the creature was taken away. Experiment 37 was given to the research team, and they were given strict warnings to keep eyes off as much as possible. Full protective gear was a requirement as well, because it appeared that anyone who got close would fall into a drug-fueled haze. The people rescued had been placed into a rehab center run by agency interests, one that could be discreet about unusual addictions. Even then, the people relaying to the blinded capture crew had to spend a certain amount of time in isolation because they were affected by the sight of the Euphoria machine. From what the survivors explained to us, they were a group of ravers who arrived at the warehouse to go to a party that was advertised on the flyer. What they remembered before things got hazy were a lot of people in giddy happiness dancing around the decoration in the center. They said it was a weird-looking set prop, but they couldn't stop looking at it. The agents interviewed them, explained that some twisted individual came up with aerosolized variation of Molly, and that they had really bad reaction to it, causing a few deaths and them being rescued by the police when they raided the party. As for experiment 37, it looks like the doctor once again took a person and mutated them. The only person unaccounted for seems to be the owner of the warehouse, a local DJ who had gone missing several days before the party was advertised. DNA testing also has some relation to the DNA of the missing person by comparing samples taken from their home. How did the doctor do this? Researchers are still testing the Euphoria machine to figure out its properties. Made so much harder that the direct line of sight infects a person with a desire to get closer, and getting too close will force the person under the sway of experiment 37, usually ending with them attempting to crawl into the creature's mouth. Attempts to communicate with the creature has failed. There's no signs, even through all the testing, that the creature is actually self-aware. It seems all that experiment 37 does is eat and stay in place while emitting the thing it does to take control of people. That was another matter too. It wasn't an aura, nor is it pheromone-based. Looking at the creature under ultraviolet lighting revealed the source of the aura of Euphoria. Hundreds, even thousands of hair-like filaments that sway to every rhythm around the creature. It also explains why people looking at even images of the Euphoria machine are enthralled as well, because these filaments are still being noticed by the human eye, even if the person themselves are not conscious of it. These semi-visible organs must cause something like a hypnotic trance to anyone directly looking at them, drawing in prey to get closer and closer until experiment 37 can consume them. Because the creature doesn't seem to be able to move under its own power, or pretty much do anything. But experiment 37, even if it can't easily be recorded, will allow the agency to get insight into the doctor's experiments and methodology, hopefully uncovering the common factor between them that will allow our people to hopefully undo his changes.